Like I said, it's a co-creation and like yes, trust, yes, surrender, but that doesn't mean you don't have to take action. Like it's like you're the catalyst for whatever you're trying to manifest. If you don't take that first step, like no other dominoes get to fall because you have to be the first domino to tip the scales over and like make all of the other ones kind of fall in line. And it's even after you take that first step, it's like consistent action on your part. Like there's parts of the process that you have to surrender to, like I said, like the when and the how,
Hmm.
but the what, like you control the what. You control like your actions that you take. And so for someone to say like they're just gonna surrender and it'll happen when it'll happen, like yes, but you also have to make it happen. Like you have to get the ball rolling and like continue to like, you know, do your part to push that ball in the right direction.
Welcome back to the Happy Positive Energy Game podcast with me, your host Luke Anning, and I hope all you beautiful people are feeling bright and warm. And if not, that is exactly why we are here today, guys. Of course, I've got an incredible guest for you guys. I've got Autumn Martin. She's host of the Edge of Everything podcast, and she helps people master their mindset, become their best self, and manifest their dream life and business. Autumn, it's been so great having you come on here, not only as a friend, but you being a teacher, healer, and mentor. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me, first of all. And second, I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. So I'm curious around the teaching, healing, mentoring, and how you're able to do that. Like, what did you have to come through in order to get to that space of becoming the teacher, becoming the healer, becoming the mentor for people shifting their lives?
That's a very loaded question. Do you want the long answer or the short answer?
Let's go for the long answer.
Okay, cool. So I'm only 22, but I've been through quite a lot in my life, especially the past couple of years. I didn't really know I wanted to be a coach. I always thought I was going to be a therapist. That's what I went to school for. Um, but then 2 years ago, I had an incident happen. To smoke a lot, and I ended up in cannabis-induced psychosis. Spent like 3 weeks at the hotel psych ward, and after that, I kind of just like spiraled. I really didn't fully come back to myself, and like I was just like kind of living in like literally a psychotic state for about 2 months. And after getting out of the hospital, like my life was kind of like over. My mom withdrew me from school. I was supposed to start at a new school fall semester of my junior year. So that was taken away. I was dating a guy who I thought was going to be like my end all be all that summer. And he just kind of like fell off the face of the earth after all of that happened. Um, and just yeah, like my life just kind of stopped right then and there. And like I got super depressed. I gained like 70 pounds within the span of like 4 months. And I just was not myself. Like literally call that my rock bottom because it was the worst experience of my life. um and so that was like the end of 2020. And then January 2021, I kind of I was looking at myself in the mirror one day, and I was just like, I hate this person, not just because like, I'd gained all that weight, but just like I remembered I'm not gonna cry on this podcast
You
because
can
sometimes
cry.
it's still like hard for me to talk about, but I just remember like seeing myself and I'm like, I hate this person that I become. Like I'm just not happy anymore. Like I had no friends anymore because like most of my friends, like what we did together was smoke, party, all that stuff. Typical 20 something things. Um, and I just was the most unhappy I'd ever been. And like, I kind of gave up on myself. And I usually wouldn't do that. Like, I'm, I consider myself to be a very resilient person. And like, after that happened to me, I just given up. So, right then and there, I kind of made a decision. It was like right before New Year's 2021, um, to just get my life back together and like not like settle and let that rock bottom kind of ruin my life. So I spent like most of 2021, I went through a really big weight loss journey. Um, got back into like reading and listening to podcasts and personal development, and then I hired my first coach at the in the fall of 2021, and I kind of fell in love with, you know, fitness and all that stuff. Thought I wanted to be a fitness coach, and ended up starting doing that on social media a little bit. And that's kind of how I got into the coaching space. And, being like a teacher and a healer and a mentor, it was through my own big journey, like mentally and physically and emotionally, and then working with my first mentor. Um, and then from there, I kind of realized that like fitness wasn't my thing. Like, as much as I love, health and wellness, I love promoting that. Like, the mind is really where I see the biggest transformation, not only in myself, but with other people, because like I went through a weight loss journey in high school where I lost a lot of weight, and I was still sad, unhappy, like trying to
Mm,
shrink myself and make myself smaller because I didn't do the internal work. But this time around, that was the biggest difference for me. Like, on this second journey, it was not just physical, it was mental, emotional, and spiritual. And that's what I really want to work with people on. It's not just healing, like, who they, like, what they go through physically through like fitness and health, but really who they are on the inside, and like what they think
mm,
about themselves, what they think about the world, and really just like, it's my little mission statement, like mastering their mindset and becoming their best self and living their dream life. And I really feel like I did that. Like, I've come a long way from that story I started with back in 2020. So that's the
mm.
long version of things.
Uh, no, I appreciate it. And something that I'm really curious around because, I mean, for me, like, I used to smoke a lot as well. But I'm curious, like, not how much did you have to smoke, but like, what is like a cannabis-induced psychosis?
I don't know. That's what like. I spent like so long researching it after that, because I was like, it couldn't have been the weed. I had my medical card. I was like very safe about it. I mean, granted, the guy I was dating, he didn't have a medical card, so it could have been something I'd smoked with him. But
Mm,
I'd always been very careful, because I'd been smoking for like 2 years prior to that happening.
mm,
But when I was dating him, all the stuff I would get from the dispensary was like the THC was like super high. He was telling me to get the highest potency,
right.
that you could get. So that's what I was doing. And um, the psychiatrist that I worked with actually said that that's been happening to a lot of people recently, as like medical
Mm,
marijuana is becoming, legalized, and the potency is so high, especially in people who are under the age of 25, because our brains aren't fully developed yet. So
mm,
we're more susceptible to that happening, especially if, it's consistent use of that high potency, THC and stuff like that. So I don't know if
that's
it's
really
like
interesting.
a specific amount or the type, or if I just got something that was laced and I got unlucky. But yeah.
Mm, mm, I feel that. So, with the journey that you've been on now, how do you manifest? Like, I think breaking it down for people who are listening, like, how do you actually manifest? Like, what is like the starting point to that?
hmm So I think the starting point is really like having a understanding of what manifestation is, and like what the law of attraction is. If you guys know the book or the documentary The Secret, that's where I always tell people to start, because it's the most simplified version of manifestation that you can kind of get. It's like, manifesting isn't like magic. It's not like you can just wish for something to happen, but it's really just like a process of aligning like your thoughts, intentions, your words, your actions, and just like your overall like energy and vibration with what you're trying to attract or call in, or whatever goal you're trying to reach. And so basically the foundation of that is the law of attraction, that like attracts like. And so you want to get your, like I said, your thoughts and intentions and your energy into vibrational alignment with the thing that
Mm,
you're trying to get. So like, if you want to manifest $100,000, but you're not in that vibrational frequency of $100,000, whatever that means to you, then it's going to be hard to attract that, because whether you have like limiting beliefs or self or doubts about your ability to have that amount of money, if it's worthiness, you're not in vibrational alignment with that that money or that desire, so it's not going to come to you. So that's kind of where
Mm,
I see manifestation as being like this, like what you start with. It's just getting everything into alignment.
right. Yeah, I kind of look at it like it's getting your subconscious to recognize that it's possible and that is part of your identity. Because
Hmm.
if the subconscious and unconscious, and when we're talking about this, and if you're unsure what I mean, like your unconscious is basically responsible for all of your bodily processes that happen without
Hmm.
you consciously being there. Like for you to get motivated in the morning, for you to have that's your unconscious like functioning. It's what's getting your organs to work,
Yeah.
and getting your like healing to happen. So like if your unconscious isn't in congruency with the $100,000 that you want,
Hmm.
then it's not going to happen. Because if it's like all of your like, let's figure out like you guys' unconscious is going to be responsible for your majority of your actions, your words, your thoughts. So if it's
Hmm.
not in congruency, like you said, with that vibrational alignment, and when we talk about vibrational alignment, that's like your cells, right? Your cells
Yeah.
vibrating at a functional level, which again
Hmm.
is coming back down to the unconscious operating with them. So
Right.
when you started learning about manifesting, what was some of the first things that you started manifesting that you were like, oh my goodness, this is actually real?
Yeah. There's so many things. And I just wanted to backtrack for a second because, like, the subconscious mind and body is, like, also one of the biggest parts of manifesting. Like, because the subconscious, like, is the body, and it's, like, for anyone who doesn't know, your subconscious is made up of, it's all of your experiences, but especially the ones that lead up to, like, when you're around the age of, like, 7 or 8. So, all
Mm,
of the, everything that you've been taught, told, everything you've experienced, like any traumas, whether it's big T trauma or little T trauma, like lives in your body and in your subconscious mind. And so that's the part of like getting in vibrational alignment that is like one of the most important parts. Because you have to override all of those past, like I was mentioning before, like the limiting beliefs and, you know, subconscious wounds that might be holding you back from being in that vibration of, love, joy, and gratitude, which are ultimately what people are trying to get into when they're trying to attract bigger things like money and all that stuff. Um,
mm.
and then, what was the question you had just asked?
You're good, you're good, you're good. What were some of the first things that you
Oh, yeah.
manifested that you were like, oh shit, like this actually works?
Yeah, so it was like at the end of 2021 when I started my TikTok page. And I was just doing it like for fun. Am I allowed to curse on this podcast? Because I
Yeah,
keep like,
100%.
oh, okay, I wasn't sure, so I keep like trying to filter my mind. But um, yeah, so at the end of 2021, I started my TikTok page, and I honestly was just doing it for like shits and giggles, and um, I was like, how cool would it be if I could like be an influencer and like have like 20,000 followers? Like 20,000 followers is my goal, and so I like one of my like what I want to build my brand around is like helping people realize that you can literally do anything you set your mind to. Like that is the root of manifestation, and so that fall, I set my mind to it. I was like, I'm gonna be an influencer. And so I just started posting like an influencer, really embodying that person. I was like being very intentional about what I was doing and like when I would post, how often I would post, and just like trying to manifest, a following. And like up leading up to like the beginning of 2022, I can't pinpoint exactly what I did, and that's like a manifestation. Like you might not ever be able to really pinpoint what it is that sets it off, but because I was doing all the things, taking all the aligned action steps to manifest what I wanted, which was being an influencer and having a platform, it happened, and it happened times 10 with what I
Mm,
expected. Because like I said, I was trying to call in, 20,000 followers. I thought that was a pretty good goal. I had a few videos go viral around the same time, and within the span of like 10 days, like I have screenshots of my following going from like 1,000 on like December 25th or something like that to 250,000 in like the span of 10 days, and I was like, holy shit,
wow.
what did I just do? um and just like from there were so many other things that happened in this year in 2022 that like really showed me that it's all in your head. Like it's all in your head. And like monetary things that I was able to manifest, friendships, mentorships, just so many things.
Uh, yeah, I think it's wonderful when you do fully figure it and you're like, wow, this actually happens. Because a
Hmm.
lot of people listening to this are probably like, oh, manifestation is like quite woo woo and like
Yeah.
it doesn't actually like fully work. But like for me, the game changer was when I met somebody who was on a similar growth path to me, and she was using affirmations, and she talked
Hmm.
about like all the things that had changed for her. So I was like, okay, like I'm actually gonna give it like my full energy. Like I'm not just gonna do affirmations one day. Like I'm gonna actually do it. I'm gonna sit with it, and I'm gonna believe that this thing has happened.
Hmm.
And then literally that was when I had my 23.5K sales month, and like it was like the day after we said. So we said on like the 7th of October, you're gonna have $20,000 sales by the 25th, and on the 26th, I had $20,000, and then I made another sale after that. But I was like, wow, like. I genuinely didn't think this was gonna. I was fully thinking that it was gonna happen whilst doing it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. But I was like, I
Hmm.
couldn't believe that it actually worked. And it's how I look at it is almost like you set your reticular activating system, which is your brain side of things, up. And I'd
Hmm.
love for you to speak on this one. Like
Yeah.
you set up your reticular activating system, and then it goes from there, right?
Hmm. So yeah, your reticular activating system is basically it's like once you get something, it's like the best way I like to describe it is if you are trying to manifest like a red a red Mercedes, you're gonna start seeing red Mercedes everywhere. And so like when you set your reticular activating system to go after something, you're and you put it like in the front of your mind and in your field of view or whatever, you're
Hmm.
gonna start seeing those things everywhere. It's like kind of like when you first start when you learn about angel numbers and you start seeing those everywhere. You're programming your mind to get used to seeing that thing over and over again. And when you set that up, it like it's so funny how it works because when you see it more, you feel it more, and when you feel it more, it just becomes that much more real, and you get that much closer to actually having it. Um, and there was something you said that I was gonna touch on, but I forgot. Sometimes when I listen to
You're good.
people, I
You're
just
calm.
get so like,
Your subconscious knows what the answer is here.
yeah. No, it was something
Okay.
about what did you say? Oh yeah, like some people think that manifestation is like woo woo and like spiritual, but it's
Mhm.
like it's just science. Like we live like it's literally just science. We live in a vibrational world, like it's physics. Everything in our world has a vibrational frequency. Like the table that you eat at, on some level, it's made up of, you know, atoms that are vibrating at a certain frequency, and so it's not like yeah, a lot of, spiritual people might lean more into the like aspects of it that can get a little woo woo, but it's just basics of, aligning your vibration with what you're trying to attract because you're vibrating at a certain frequency and it's vibrating at a certain frequency. And when you guys are in harmony, if you're like a vibrational match, is what they say, you
Mhm.
attract it towards you. So, it's so funny to me when people say things like it's woo because it's just like, it's science.
It's science. Okay, so let's say somebody has never ever manifested before and they're
Hmm.
listening to this podcast and they wanted like a step-by-step guide of how to manifest something for say 2023 since that's
Hmm.
the energy that we're in.
Yeah.
What would be the steps that you take them through in order to manifest what they want?
Okay, so I literally was just talking about this. It's so funny. But step one, I feel like would be to set an intention. Um, and intentions aren't the same as goals. An intention is I see intentions as being something as what you're going to do, be, or, say in order to attract the goal. Like the goal is what you want, and the intention is who you need to be or what you need to do in order to get there. So first first things first is setting that intention and being super clear about what it is that you want to call in. Um, and then step number two, I feel like would be, like I said, get clear on what it is and get to like down to the nitty gritty details. Um, so that you know, like it's I'm not even gonna bring up human design because that's a whole nother can of worms to open another day.
Mm-hmm.
But the more specific that you are about how you want it to look, how you want it to feel, if you can imagine how it like if it's something that you can taste and that you can touch that you're trying to call in, getting down to the specifics will really help you with um like attracting it to you faster because when you're more specific, like it's like manifesting can sometimes be put in terms of like putting in your order with the universe. Like you wouldn't go to like a restaurant and say, I just want chicken. You want the chicken with, you know, the specific sides and you want the chicken that's seasoned a certain way, like, because there's so many different types of chicken that you can get. So you want to make sure that the universe knows what you're actually ordering. Um, and then, hmm,
So we've got like intentionality, we've got like specificity, and then what after that would you go from?
um, I have like a whole post I just created about this, and I don't know why it's slipping my mind. Um, intention, clarity. Oh, aligned action. So getting down to understanding like what steps you need to take every single day in order to, you know, manifest that thing. Because like I said, it's not magic. You can't just say like, I want this and then expect it to come to you. Taking aligned
Mm-hmm.
action is being intentional about
Mm-hmm.
what steps you're going to take to get there. Because you're co-creating with the universe, so you kind of have to meet it halfway. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like doing the work on your end to make sure that you're participating in what you're trying to attract. So if you're, I don't know, if you're starting a business, like you can't just say you want 10 clients, like what are you going to do to actually attract those 10 clients? Whether it's, you know, sending out DMs or posting content or showing up on your story, there's going to be something that you have to do in order to attract that thing. Um, and another step would be embodiment and just
Mm-hmm.
embodying the kind of person that you want to be in order to have that thing. Because what got you to where you are right now isn't going to get you to where you're trying to go. You're going to have to become a whole different person and embody like a whole new identity, which is part of that, you know, frequency difference between who you are right now and like who you'll be once you have that thing. So think
Mm-hmm.
about the kind of person that you are once you have what you desire. Like, what are the habits and routines of the person who has that thing? How do they dress?
Mm-hmm.
How do they speak? How do they think? What do they say? Be super intentional about showing. I keep stumbling over that word. Be super intentional about who you're going to be showing up as every single day and
Mm-hmm.
becoming the embodiment of, you know, that person who has what you want is just going to get you that much closer to having it. Um, and then there's another one. There's six steps. And I'm sorry if I'm saying them
You're
out of
good. You're
order.
good. You're
Um,
good.
so it's clarity, so intention, clarity, aligned action, embodiment, and well, if we get five, that's cool. So trust and surrender is a really big one, because a lot of times, like in pursuit of our goals, we'll try to push and force and grind and hustle towards our goals. But a big part of manifestation is trusting that the universe has your back and being willing to surrender to something that's outside of you. So really just having faith that if you're taking the aligned action steps, if you're embodying the person that you need to be, and
Mm-hmm.
you're being intentional every single day, just trusting that what you desire will come to you, because it's inevitable, and you have to understand that you don't get a say in like the when or the how of when that thing is going to come in. You just have to trust that it will, and sometimes the universe
Mm-hmm.
will deliver it like a lot faster than you might have thought it would. And sometimes it'll take a little bit more time. So being, open to receive it, however it comes, whenever it comes, and trusting in yourself to get you, halfway there, and trusting that the universe will meet you the rest of the way. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, those are five
mm,
steps. I know there's one more. If I remember,
good.
I'll make sure to.
Yeah, and I kind of look at it like when I manifested that 20K sales month, like the trip that I went on was a big risk, and there was like a lot of fears, a lot of like, oh, what if you don't make the money? What if you're
Mhm.
working the whole time? But at the same time, I had to just trust that it was going to work out and that I was taking all the necessary action that was in alignment with achieving that. And then whilst doing it, I was constantly reaffirming and like believing and feeling that I was actually going to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And I think there's a bit of a unique process. And I think sometimes like you can not necessarily need to believe that something's going to work out, and you can still get it done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I think the manifestation process definitely adds like a layer of power to the mindset of it, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm curious for you, what do you feel you were manifesting when you were in your negative space, when you were smoking the weed? Like, what was the underlying subconscious manifesting at that time? Because I feel like that's where like a lot of people are when they're in that avoidance stage.
Hmm. Yeah, I was, oh my God, I was a completely different person back then. I think I was like 19. And I was just trying to like connect. Like I used smoking and stuff as a way of like connecting to other people, to myself. Like I had kind of started my spiritual journey my freshman year of college. Um, and I thought that I was spiritual because I was smoking. And I
Mm,
thought I, could connect to my higher self and to the universe because the weed is what made me feel connected. But it really wasn't. So I was just kind of using it as a, I don't know, like a mechanism to achieve something that I could do all on my own. Um, and also just kind of escape like my anxiety. I struggled with anxiety since I was like 12 years old. And once I started smoking, it was like, and I got my medical card, it was like, oh, this is the thing that'll make me not anxious anymore.
hmm
So yeah, it just really is a way of like escaping my current reality because I couldn't handle like mentally all the different like triggers that were showing up for me because of all of the underlying stuff that I wasn't even aware of the traumas
hmm
that I had sitting at the back of my subconscious mind when I was smoking and doing all of the things.
So when you say like you were unaware of those things,
Hmm.
how come you were unaware? Like, why was that present? Why were you unaware?
Because like at the time I was pretty like I live a pretty privileged life. Like yeah, I'm a black woman. I do experience like racism every now and then, but there's nothing in my childhood that really like quote unquote damaged me or traumatized me
Hmm
in a really major way. Like there are some things, divorce, stuff like that. Um, but I didn't know that like even the little t traumas mattered. So I didn't even they
hmm
weren't even on my radar. Like the shit that people used to say to me back in elementary school that made me feel anxious and which, triggered my anxiety, I didn't know that there was a root cause to that that had to be
hmm
healed because I didn't think anything was wrong. Like I thought I was fine until I realized that I wasn't. But yeah, you never know what's in your subconscious mind until you understand what the subconscious mind is. So I didn't even know what that was when I was smoking.
Right. And I feel like that's where like a lot of people are. Like they're in this space where like they're like, well, I haven't had anything like big or traumatic happen to me, so like I'm fine. I should be fine, but why am I not getting what I want? Why am I still where I'm at? Like it's just this like painful struggle, right?
Yeah.
So I know you said that you help people like achieve their like dream life and business as well, right?
Mhm.
And I was having a conversation with this girl the other day in person, and she was talking about like how she like wanted to build her business, and like she was trusting that it was going to happen, and like she was surrendering to the process.
Hmm.
But like it was actually frustrating me a little bit, and I guess this is just my own like healing to still happen, but it was like frustrating me because she was saying, you know, like I'm trusting and I'm surrendering that it's going to work out, but like she wasn't actually doing anything. Like there was literally zero action. She was just like, yeah, I'm just trusting, like it'll happen when it'll happen. Like, what's the problem with that?
Yeah. The problem with that is you're not participating in the manifestation process. Like I said, it's a co-creation and like yes, trust, yes, surrender, but that doesn't mean you don't have to take action. Like it's like you're the catalyst for whatever you're trying to manifest. If you don't take that first step, like no other dominoes get to fall because you have to be the first domino to tip the scales over and like make all of the other ones kind of fall in line. And it's even after you take that first step, it's like consistent action on your part. Like there's parts of the process that you have to surrender to, like I said, like the when and the how, but the what, like you control the what. You control like your actions that you take. And so for someone to say like they're just gonna surrender and it'll happen when it'll happen, like yes, but you also have to make it happen. Like you have to get the ball rolling and like continue to like, you know, do your part to push that ball in the right direction.
Yeah, I hear that. I think it's really important for people to realize. So I know you're talking about like you have your intentionality and you have your manifestation practice, but let's say somebody has something blocking them and they needed like some healing.
Hmm.
What's like a go-to practice that somebody can do by themselves, maybe without a coach, that would help them heal part of their subconscious or unconscious or whatever is holding them back? Like, what's something that would help them?
Yeah, so my three biggest things that I like to use, meditation, which is I like a lot another topic which a lot of people might think is woo-woo, but when you meditate, you really give yourself the opportunity to observe your subconscious mind, um, and really becoming aware of the thoughts and beliefs that are, keeping you stuck and holding you back. Because without the awareness, you can't, take action to change it. So that's like step number one. And then the second thing I like to use is journaling because once you have the awareness, actually writing it down somewhere gives you the ability to go back and reflect on it and to see the growth and the changes that you're making. And there's so many journaling prompts out there, like Pinterest. Go to Pinterest. You can type in like shadow work journal prompts, mindset journal prompts, and there'll be hundreds that are free and available for you to use on Pinterest. Um,
Yeet, writing that down.
and okay, so this is my favorite thing to use to really reprogram your subconscious mind. That's also completely free on YouTube. It's called EFT tapping. It's called the emotional freedom technique, and it's this really cool modality that's used in therapy sessions, but also you can use it on your own time. And EFT is basically you using like there's different they call them meridian points, and you tap like in certain places, and these meridian points are in line with different energy centers in your body. And so when you tap on these specific energy centers and repeat the affirmations that are used during like an EFT tapping session, you bypass the you bypass the conscious mind and get straight to the subconscious mind through, the
Wow.
affirmation and the tapping on these meridian centers, um, to help you, heal faster and to reprogram your subconscious mind. So that's my favorite thing.
Wow. Everybody's signing up to EFT, like Googling like EFTs have a breath. Like it's interesting you came up with that yesterday, because I was having a conversation with another high level coach yesterday, and it was just around the topic of abundance and that space, because I've come from that very like masculine energy of just, hey, like go go go, just push 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 push, and that's really worked for me. Like I don't have a problem with it, but it meets a certain point. It meets a certain level where it's like, hey, like there's some other stuff that we got to work on right now, like,
Mhm.
and you're only going to go so far if you keep grinding. and you'll only stay in that masculine energy of grind. And yeah, that could work, but it's almost like doubling down, right? It's like, hey, you've got this space to yourself in the evening or like in the morning where like you're gonna have that time to yourself anyway. So it's like,
Hmm.
why not just, use it as like an extra 5 minute thing you do? So how long would you do like EFT tapping for?
Um, it's like totally up to you. It can work in as little as 5 minutes, and there's so many free ones on YouTube, and then you can do them for different topics like abundance or stress or fear. Like, there's so many different topics that you can tap on, but you can do it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. There's some that go for like 30 minutes. It's completely
Mm,
up to you, and the key with that is to continue doing it. You can do it as many times a day as you want, but doing it once a day is also fine. But just getting yourself in the habit, and then also it's a really cool tool that you can use, like even if it's just like 30 minutes and you just tap like this,
mm,
which is like the starting point.
like on your
And
hand.
yeah, so there's like the different centers. And it seems a little weird at first when you start doing it, but um it really helps, and all you really need to start with is like 5 minutes a day.
Right. And it's all mindset, really. Like
Yeah.
like this is the two folds I look at with mindset. Like you've got the one fold of like David Goggins, Alex Hormozy, like
Hmm.
just do the fucking work, like just do it. But then
Hmm.
you've got the other aspect of it where it's creating something like I feel like the David Goggins, the Kobe Bryant, the Michael Jordan, like you're creating this false like even Andy Frisella and Ed Milet, like you're creating this false ideology that there's someone against you and you're in competition and you've got push, 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 and
Hmm.
that can drive like really cool success. But at the same time, then there's the flip side of saying like, hey, like there's also like this human being part of this where you want to tap into your subconscious. Like that's what it feels like to me. It's like tap into your subconscious. That's what it feels like to me. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
where the way
exactly
that's
it.
where that's how it resonates with me.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up because I had a mentor the other day say this, and it like hits so deep because strategy and hustle and grinding, like you need that. You need the masculine structure, like no doubt about it, but that's only 50% of the work when you want to be successful or when you want to manifest, when you want to be, do, or have anything. Like the action and all of that stuff. That's only 50% of the battle. The other 50% is the healing. It's, being happy and having that feminine flow and creativity and, you know, like living and enjoying life, getting into that energy of love and gratitude and pleasure. Um, and so when you don't tap into that, especially like for men, because like we live in a hyper masculine society, it's kind of seen as like weak if you want to focus on your mindset and heal,
Hmm.
but like that's the strongest thing you can do because it doesn't just make you stronger like mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, but it also helps you be more successful because if you don't have those limiting beliefs in your way, if you're not self-sabotaging, if you are aware of when you might start self-sabotaging, it makes it so much easier to work through it, and continue moving forward towards your goals.
Yeah, like I have a mentor who's extremely evidence and psychology based, and like his business has grown like exponentially, like one of the fastest growing coaching businesses like in the world. Like literally, and like if you look at that like fast growing company like list, like his company's on there. So like like he's doing the shit.
Hmm.
And he was saying like one of the like focuses for his goals when he does his goal setting is to actually embody doing the deep inner work that allows you to have the identity shifts that that shift when you have a big goal happening. Like he was saying, like essentially, like the faster you want to grow, the more you as a person will have to shift, and the
Hmm.
more you will self sabotage if you don't do the deep work, understand, and actually like consciously like almost walk yourself through that process. Because that's something that I definitely found over this year. I've found myself definitely a little bit like up and down, and I would say the reason why that is, and that's again the reason why I invested into him, was because I was self-sabotaging before giving myself an opportunity to do that deep work because I was just pushing in masculine push, 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 push. Like you need that deep work, and it's something that like I embody with my clients, and I'm glad that like we have these conversations where it's like, yeah, like there is an aspect of a level of hustle and a level of effort that's required to get to the level that you want to get to. And doing, I think sometimes people pull away from it because they don't like the repetitiveness of like actually when you do a certain piece of work, that might be the thing that actually is the only thing that you need to do. For example, growing a coaching business from the get-go, like okay, doing launches and marketing, that's it. There's nothing else. Like
Mm-hmm.
as sad as it is, like that is it. There's nothing else that you need to do, but we get pulled away from it, especially when you're in masculine energy. You think, okay, well, I just need to work more and do more things. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, if you can hold yourself disciplined to doing those important things and then do the identity shifting that allows you to become that empowering business teacher, healer, mentor,
Mm-hmm.
then you have like the overall picture shift, right? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I completely agree. Like, especially in our culture, like it's always, push, push, force, force, do, do. But like we're living to also be and to experience. And like I said, to have, fun and pleasure and joy. So like don't get caught up in just always trying to be and or always trying to do, because like in the being is when you have like you get that drive to go do. Like the more fun you're having and the more you're like well rested and balanced and your mindset's in the right place, the easier it will be to go and take the action when you want to and when you need to, and you're not gonna like burn yourself out in the process.
Right. Right. It's because you're aligned, right? It
Yeah.
feels like what you're meant to do rather than just like push comes to shove. And there is definitely a push comes to shove sometimes, but like imagine if you felt aligned every single
Hmm.
time you took your work. Like imagine how great that would feel that, the people that you were connecting with, the people, the content you were creating, or the people that were like listening to what you have to say. Like imagine if you could do that from alignment. And I feel like that only comes when you surrender and allow yourself to do that deep inner work, which is outside of the work environment, so to speak, at least what you would traditionally look at as the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is such a great conversation. I'm loving this, and I feel like we could go on for so long.
Same.
But awesome. I got a second tradition on this podcast, which is podcasts really changed my life. I was in a dark space, and I was listening to a podcast, heavy masculine energy one, and the guy was like, "Look, like if you don't fucking like your life, like change it, like actually do something." And from that day, I quit my job, and 3 days later, was working in music events, and then that eventually led to me stepping into coaching. So I really want to help you spread a message towards somebody who's in this space where they're thinking, oh, like I'd love to do like this EFT tapping, or like they've considered to do so many things and they've said that they're going to do so many things, and they're like, oh, I'm going to have this big 2022, but like 2022, yeah. And then that it was the same as the last year, and it was the
Hmm.
same as the year before, and they constantly are like on this fence of like wanting to do things, and they say that they want to do something, but it never ever changes. What would you want to say to that person who's on the fence and really needs a bit of a kick up the butt to shift?
Yeah. I would say, like, how bad do you want it? Like, how badly do you want to be that person, have that thing, live that life? Like, because you'll get to a point where you're gonna have to decide, like, are you comfortable with complacency and being where you are and, because it's safe and you're just getting by, or do you want to be extraordinary? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to have, all of the things that you deserve by nature of just being here on this planet? Do you want to have those things, or do you just want to stay in the same spot because it feels good right now, and because it feels safe? And I think that like when you get to a point where you're so fed up with your own shit and you're really ready to look in the mirror and be like, all right, let's get it together, let's do the thing. Um, you'll start taking the action, and it all starts like with your mindset and how you feel about yourself. Um, so I would just say like decide. Like you have like it starts with the decision and with that intention, and just take it day by day from there. Like you don't have to, do it all by tomorrow. Just stay focused on the end result, feel into that end result, and embody the person that you want to be.
I love that message, and I really hope that if you're listening to this and that resonated, that you take it on board because we just want the best for you. Like we want you to
Yeah,
grow. So it's up to you now. It's up to you
yeah,
to take on board these words that you've been saying and take the action, right?
yeah.
So awesome. Want to say a massive gratitude for you coming onto the podcast. Where's the best place for people to reach you?
Definitely Instagram, um, at autumn.danae, well, period, dot Danae.
Mhm.
um, and yeah, and then also my podcast, which will be out January 4th. You can find me there too at the Edge of Everything podcast.
Okay, wicked stuff, wicked stuff. And I'll see you guys over there as well because we're going to rock and roll for one as well. So,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that said, guys, really want to say like thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come over here, listen to this and tune in. And we really hope that you take on board the things that we've said and you step into transforming your life and ultimately like give this podcast a share. Like think about somebody that you know who would benefit from this because it's not about just me and Autumn. It's about getting this message to somebody that really needs it, and so that we can all raise our vibrations and create this happier, positive energy game of life for not just you, but for everybody else. So for everybody listening, keep moving forwards. Don't ever stop. We appreciate you, and we hope you have an awesome day.